Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. If it's Friday, it is the CEO series. Our guest today is Susana Correia, Head of Search and Staffing, MENA Region, LinkedIn Talent Solutions. And our topic is how do you develop a laser focus on you and your career? And we will look at tips to boost your visibility and stay relevant in this COVID period. Susana, welcome. How are you?
I'm fine, Ron. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's such an interesting topic.
Yes, it
Couldn't
is
come at a better
topic.
time.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes. And I'm glad to have you on. You know, I've been wanting to have you on for some time, but it's good to have you here because I look at LinkedIn as a careers platform. That's my way of looking at it. And I think a lot of people don't look at it with all seriousness. And that's why I wanted to have you on as a guest, and we can kind of talk through how we should care about our brand and building up that profile, you know, on LinkedIn. So let's get started. So what's the best piece of advice that you could offer listeners that may have just lost their job and are trying to get back on track via LinkedIn as one of the platforms?
Sure. So the best advice I can give someone who lost their jobs is engaging with their community and leveraging their network on LinkedIn. This is key. So I'm going to spend some time here on building your network and leveraging your community. So start with your family and friends. Add people who are around you in your everyday life to your network. You never know if a friend is connected to someone who works at a company that's hiring. Then you should definitely reach out to your past co-workers or classmates by either reaching out to them directly or through your network on LinkedIn, where you also have the possibility of adding school experiences or organizations, and you can see former classmates and co-workers to connect with directly. So once you do that, remind them, once you send that invitation to connect and you start, you know, rebuilding your relationship with these people, remind them how you know them and why are you a good fit for the job they are posting. My second piece of advice is definitely expanding your skills. So not only hard skills, but set yourself apart by honing critical soft skills, from building emotional intelligence to effective listening. Thirdly, I would say apply for relevant jobs and prepare for the interview. So nowadays you have tools such as LinkedIn interview prep tools that provide you with instant feedback on interview responses to build your confidence by privately practicing your answers. So I will take this opportunity to actually say to job seekers that they can access nearly 1,000 hours of free learning courses from Microsoft and LinkedIn at opportunity.linkedin.com. So if you are looking for a job and you are listening, please make sure you visit opportunity.linkedin.com. So since June, when we launched this portal, nearly 13 million people around the world have learned new skills related to the most in-demand roles. So I highly encourage you to visit this site.
So that interview prep, that's the first time I've heard of that. So interview prep, is that a visual? Well, it has to be a visual, but how does that work?
So it works with AI, basically. It's an AI-based process where you practice directly what is the feedback, what are your interview skills, responding to questions, etc. And LinkedIn will get back to you once you are in the platform, just in this tool, telling you if you are using too many filler words, if you are making too many pauses, etc. Yes. So I highly encourage people to try that. It's really good.
Wow. And that's free, you said. That's free to use?
It is free. It is free. Yes.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. You can find it at opportunity.linkedin.com and on your profile as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Because I hear people struggling to do a virtual interview. You know, when this thing switched over and COVID switched over. I mean, COVID came into play and everything went virtual. Even people like myself, I had to figure out how to use this and still be as engaged inside of the, versus inside of a conference room. And how do you lead a session? So, I mean, those skills that I had to do it for work, but for someone who has not given consideration to that, and they've always gone on interviews face to face, that's an important skill.
True, to master.
Because how do you sound? You said buzzwords, you said filler words, those kind of things that we pull out. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's talk. So I've always referenced, I'm a very big fan of LinkedIn ever since it started. I've always told people that LinkedIn is your personal billboard. If you can take them driving down a highway and there's maybe 1,000 people per hour, and if you could put a billboard up, what would it be about? And your LinkedIn profile, serves that purpose. So give us some tips on what works on building that visual profile, what does not work, and what someone may want to change based on being in that industry for a period of time.
Sure, absolutely. And I totally agree that LinkedIn is the platform, like the image you use, like the metaphor with the billboard, it's absolutely right. So what works? So if you want to maximize your digital presence, you should share your authentic voice on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is a platform where you can have your voice heard by your professional community. Be authentic, stay on brand, and show up consistently. You should also post frequently. By sharing frequently, you create more opportunities for you and your content to be discovered. I would also say that including rich media, like photos and videos, as you know, because you master all these tips, also help your post stand out. Lastly, think about how what you are sharing can be beneficial to others. So when posting a status update, think of things that you can share that will benefit your professional community. And this also goes the other way. So use status updates to pose a question or to get insights and thoughts from professionals you care about. This is also really important. What does not work, I would say it's not fully completing your LinkedIn profile with all the sections we offer, such as job history, education, licenses and certifications you hold, skills and endorsements. You only have so many possibilities. And also in some cases, I would like to emphasize this, sending connection requests without a personalized message can be harmful. So don't do it. So when you know someone, I'm going to give you a personal example. Today I met someone at a restaurant who was Portuguese. I was there with her and she said, "Oh my God, you work for LinkedIn. Let's connect." We connected. I sent her the connection request in person. We're standing next to each other. We knew benefits of connecting, to each other. But when you don't know a person, definitely try to briefly explain the reason why you think it would be mutually beneficial to be a part of their network. Like this is like what does not work, sending a connection request to someone you don't know without introducing yourself. And then the must-haves. So the most interesting part of every professional journey is the story behind it. No two professionals are the same. Your career path, skills, dreams, and aspirations are unique to you. So sharing your professional journey in an authentic and engaging way is the starting point for connecting with the communities that matter the most to you. And I don't think you know this because it's very, very new. It's brand new. You can now add a video cover story that gives you a more personal and creative way to tell your story through a 30-second video on your profile. So basically on your profile photo, you will have a plus button in orange, and you can have you can add a 30-second video explaining who you are and what you do, etc. I love that. It's amazing. Definitely, I highly encourage everyone to use it, because hiring managers are 80% more engaged with video content more than ever. So it's a great tool that we offer now. I would also say another must-have is to select a LinkedIn photo that truly represents you. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be professional, but it should tell your professional community who you are.
Not laying on the beach on vacation, right?
No, that's definitely
I saw that at one time.
Sunglasses, so many things. Oh my god. So make sure the photo only snaps you. It's high resolution and has good lighting. Even if you are taking a selfie, just remember this, because members with a profile photo have 9 times more connection requests, 21 more profile views, and 36 times more messages. So definitely it's super important. Then another thing that is really important is also drafting a compelling summary. You can think about this as your elevator pitch, if you like. So keep it short and sweet. No need to list all your career accomplishments, because you will have a section to talk about your experience. You have a section for that. But highlight your unique talents and how do you want to contribute to the workforce. So adding a summary of 40 words or more makes your profile more likely to turn up in a future employer's search, for example. And these are the best tips I could give you.
Okay, so you got video now, so I can do video and I can do a compelling so-called pitch.
Yes.
That's pretty cool to have now, because it gives you, we hear the word authentic. Well, if you express yourself in that way, it'll come through, even whether it's a video or whatever. I tell you, one of my pet peeves is for someone to send me, I've got a lot of pet peeves, but someone will send me a link to take a look at their profile, and their job history looks like a tombstone. A tombstone says born 1988, died 2010.
Oh God.
Between. And you see so much of that. So I said, well, so you were there for 8 years. Did you do anything? Well, yeah, I did. I said, you didn't say anything about that. So building out the key points, success stories.
Exactly. Accomplishments. Absolutely. Highlight them. That's super important.
The other point that you made was, in connecting with people. And I think a lot of people, at least I get a lot of these kind of requests from people who see your profile and say, oh, I want to connect with this person, but they didn't read the profile. And, so you gave an example of one. I'm going to give you an example of one. A gentleman sent me a connection request and said he was an engineer on some ship in the middle of the ocean. As you probably have heard, there's been a lot of layoffs. And I'm trying to find the appropriate job as a petroleum engineer in your esteemed organization. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with what I do? Then you're a petroleum engineer. But it's a lot of that. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, should we sync up to make sure we have something? I know sometimes you can kind of think out of the box and say, well, maybe this person is connected in some way. But should there be some type of synergies before we even begin the kind of relationship process? Or should we just connect with everybody?
No, absolutely not. I think you should do your research, see if you have maybe, a common connection, or when that person sends you a message, it should be something, if you can't relate to that, if it's completely irrelevant, it's not what you do, I know there's a lot that people, like there are a lot of people who lost their jobs, as you said, and are, of course, looking actively to build a community, but they should build the right connections, because that will lead you in the right way. So even our algorithm, right? When like employers are looking for potential candidates, they look at these type of things. So you should have a community that represents who you truly are, and your interests, and that are interested in the same things. And if it doesn't make sense, then you should just say, no, thank you, but no, thank you.
Okay. So what about companies? I follow quite a few companies that I'm interested in. Is that kind of an advantage in some way? Because maybe the algorithms will say maybe this person could work here, or send me a job listing from that company.
No, so I think the advantage of following companies is just for you to keep up to date with the companies you are interested in. It doesn't really define your profile. But if you are looking for a job and someone from that company that you like, right, and care about, sees when they are doing their search, one of the things they will see is people who follow my company. So if you are already engaged with the company culture, company interests, the likelihood of you getting that job is higher. That's what I would say about that. That's the way it works. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned sharing articles, photos of professional accomplishments. Any guidelines around that? My personal way of looking at it is like every other day, I want to post a relevant article. And you have a document that was very insightful for me of this, how to run impactful webinars or something like that. But when I read through that, I said that could work for a person who's trying to get exposed on LinkedIn. It says, if you post an article, do a lead in, do a sort of a quick summary of a couple of sentences, what the article is about. And those type little tips, as opposed to just posting something and you don't give your version of it. Or should we do that? Or
yeah, you should always try. I would say you should always try to be authentic and to post your own content, because it's much more engaging, and give your personal view. It's not something that it's mandatory. If you like to, if you read relevant news and you would like to share them, for sure, by all means, if you want to be noticed. But I think sharing your authentic voice and publishing and creating thought leadership articles, it's super important, for sure. It's better to be authentic always.
Yeah, you enlightened me on that. The last time we had our meeting back in 2019, we were sitting there talking, and you asked me that question. I said, well, I post my articles, and I was just posting the link to them, and you showed me how to go in and create it on LinkedIn and do it that way. And it was a lot more powerful. I got more likes, I got more comments by doing that.
Brilliantly.
Posting a link and it goes to someplace else.
Yeah, your content is amazing, and amazing content should be followed and recognized, etc. So I think there's definitely a value on sharing the wealth of knowledge you have, your personal perspective on something, and again, it goes back to what I said, when you post something, think about is this beneficial to others? And yeah, and again, it goes the other way, right? Sometimes you see content that it's relevant to you. So like it's super important to share your point of view on LinkedIn for sure and be authentic.
Okay. Okay. So the other point I wanted to ask you, sometimes you'll see job listings, and if I see a job listing and I know someone who's looking for that, I will always forward it to them or tag them on it. But then I look and it'll say 300 people have already applied. I know there's nothing we can do about that. How can you get closer to that? And if I'm sitting in a pile of 300 people inquiring about one particular link, any strategies around that? Because that's a huge amount of people. Yeah, even in thinking in terms of a funnel coming out of there, and that many people are in the so-called hopper.
Yeah. So once you apply for a job, make sure the way you are going to stand out is by having the skills that job post lists, right? I would say research the company, get in touch with the hiring manager, send them a personal note, an email, if you have a premium account, or a connection request saying, hey, I saw this job on your company, posted by you, or get in touch with someone you know in the company and try to get a LinkedIn referral, explaining the reason why you're a good fit for that job. I think this is the way you can stand out, and you can make sure you get on top of those 300 applicants, because sometimes in the region, it's a reality we have in the UAE. A lot of people apply for, like, thousands of people apply for jobs. But then in the end, it all goes down to, and like there are many filters on the employer side, such as, skills, relevancy, people who follow their company page, as I mentioned a while back as well. And trying to get a referral and introducing yourself and explaining why are you the relevant candidate for that job can help you and can make a difference.
Okay. Well, that's funny you mentioned that, because I saw the other day a job posting, and I sent it to someone. As I was reading through it, I don't know whether because I clicked on it, but the data was telling me my relevance to this particular job, which I wasn't looking for a job, and it showed a percentage of whatever it is. So basically, it runs through your profile and matches that up, and that's where that number comes from.
Exactly. Yes, it is. Yeah, it
Okay.
relates to your skills. Yeah, and to your education and the years of experience. So all comes together. And all this data comes together, all these data points, and advise you the best jobs for your unique skill set. Yeah.
Okay.
So the more complete you have your profile, the more possibilities you have on landing the right job.
Okay. So that takes us to a different discussion on keywords, because if that's the case, a lot of the keywords are pulled from your profile and whether it matches up with that particular job. Is that kind of how it works? A rudimentary kind of approach?
Yes, keywords also help a lot. So keywords in your professional summary, help a lot. But it's also, the skills you have listed in the skills section, years of experience, the job title being correct, so some people don't really, they would write something that sounds good, but it's not exactly, a job title that means the real job, what I mean? So the more accurate you are, the more detailed you are, when building your LinkedIn profile, the better chances you have jobs that are an exact match to your skill set.
Okay.
And I hope that was the case with you. I hope it was a match, although you weren't looking.
No, I wasn't looking, but I was just so what did I get? But then again, knowing a little about analytics and all those kind of things, so I know that they're all those data points, they pull that together and they're throwing up some. So I understood it from more of a professional perspective, but that was the first time I had seen that. So it was kind of unique when I saw it. So my thought is, and this is what I tell people, and you can get me whether I'm correct in saying this, because I get a lot of people that reach out to me either for career advice or whatever it is, and I'll say, send me a copy of your CV and your link to your profile, and I can almost tell when they pause and say, well, let me send a LinkedIn profile because I've got to work on it.
Yeah.
So here's my thought on that is that should be up to date every day. There's no excuses for that. And I told
it should be the other around.
Yeah, so I told one person, I said, you know what? You're on Facebook posting every 15, 20 minutes. Take an hour away from Facebook every day, go to LinkedIn and use it there and change the balance of that.
So true. It couldn't be like staying current and relevant in such a competitive market. Like it means spending some time on LinkedIn. Like either it is upskilling, and there are so many interesting things to do on LinkedIn like right now. So much interesting content, so many hashtags you can be following. It's just a shame when people tell me they don't have a LinkedIn profile.
I talked to someone today who was between jobs, and I said, they said, well, I'm looking now. So I said, what does your LinkedIn profile look like? And the question was, what? I said, LinkedIn. Oh, I don't have a profile.
Oh my God. So you're not current.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. And that brings me to another topic and I want people to listen to this. So lots of times people will ask me, how did you end up from New York into the Middle East? Well, I received an email from a search firm, and I was working for Xerox in one of their consulting practices back in New York. And what the young lady said, we noticed your profile on LinkedIn, and we wanted to find out whether you would be interested in this particular role. And that's what it started from there. And eventually I ended up moving there. This was 5 years ago or whatever it was. And that kind of started everything. But I think about that a lot of times when I see people misusing LinkedIn. And I said, if that wouldn't have happened, none of this would have happened. I'm sure something would have happened on the other side, but it is that important. For people that are sitting on the fence, it is that important. And you have to you have to drive that. So from students that are in college, so maybe you haven't had a career really. You've been in school and you're working on your degree, or it could be your MBA, whatever it is. What advice would you give a college student as the beginning process of building this out?
Yeah, so a college student can actually start by, again, I think being authentic and writing a compelling summary of what is it that they want. Why are they, for example, in their summary, why are they studying what they are studying? What do they stand for? Which causes have they supported? Where have they studied and what are they studying? Following relevant content and companies that are of interest to them. And following discussions, posting as well, because of course they have a lot to share, right? The new generations have so many smart ideas and so much to share with us, with the rest of the network. So get on LinkedIn, profile photo, once again, like our best practices, maybe your cover story, very good summary, and follow companies and teams that are relevant to you. These would be my advice for students to build their presence on. And we have an amazing program actually in Saudi Arabia, where students, when they graduate, they build their LinkedIn profile. And we have hundreds of thousands of students in KSA building their LinkedIn profiles as part of their curriculum. So it's quite impressive, making a difference this way.
Yeah. So that's cool that you mentioned that in school. So I teach at a couple of universities. I do one course, and that's one of the things I consistently talk about is that you're going to have to start early with this. Should we have a self-check for your profile? I tend to look at mine at least 2-3 times a week to see whether I can tweak this or tweak that, or if I see someone else's profile, it looks cool, maybe there's a keyword there that I like it and I want to use it on. Is there a best practices model that LinkedIn has published that people can go to make sure that they're covering maybe the top 20 points to build this out or something like that?
Yes, so at opportunity.linkedin.com, between Microsoft and LinkedIn, either you are looking for a job or not, you can actually find a good platform to know what should you be, doing to stay current. And I think one of the most important check-ins you should have with yourself is, okay, I just finished, a learning on something. I just did this training. I upskilled myself.
Okay.
And in a world, that it's ever changing, like nowadays, people are upskilling, all the time. So just make sure your skills stay current. This would be my key advice for someone who has a very complete LinkedIn profile. This would be my key advice. Check up with your skills. Like if you are taking some training, upskilling somehow, just make sure you add that to your LinkedIn profile. This is very important. And opportunity.linkedin.com also has excellent advice. This is a good platform.
Opportunities.linkedin.com?
Opportunity.linkedin.com. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
It's great.
From that side, I think people really need to start it out the right way, in utilizing that. Because, I've heard younger people say, well, LinkedIn is kind of an old person's social media. And I said, where did you get that from? Who was it that told you that? Can you give me that number? Let me call them up. Because this is a lifelong thing that you have to make sure that you're on point. And it has to be relevant. So the other thing, as you mentioned, the learning, on LinkedIn Learning. I have an account on LinkedIn Learning too. My daughter gave me over the holidays. So I periodically go in and take the courses, but I don't really post. I see a lot of people will post their certificate. If they get a certificate and whatever it is, they'll post that. So that's pretty cool, right? So that's showing that I'm on this journey to try to become better at whatever it is I'm doing.
Exactly. You have a growth mindset, which is like adaptability and having a growth mindset are so important, right? In these days, definitely should be posting about it, right? Definitely.
Mm-hmm. You use one of my key phrases, growth mindset. Fixed mindset, growth mindset. Fixed mindset, old school. Growth mindset, new school. New way of thinking about that. So if I'm kind of really into making sure my profile is maxed out, that would probably fall into the category of a growth mindset, and versus someone who set it up 3 years ago or whatever. I say that because I was at a conference, I forget what country it was, and the head of human resources got up and made a speech and was talking about social media and its impact. He said, people are using LinkedIn. He said, but I think I've got like 10 contacts on LinkedIn. I don't really have time to do LinkedIn. And everybody in the room kind of looked around at each other. Here's someone that's in human resources, the head of the human resources department. I can only feel sorry for the people that work for this guy, because he didn't see the importance of that.
I don't want to sound biased, but
yeah, right. And I said, this is the kind of company, if you go there and look, they will have fax your CV to this number.
Oh, God. Most of the cases it will get nowhere because, no more faxes.
No more faxes. Although they're still selling them online, So in talking about having LinkedIn as what I call a career platform, that we can kind of post our accomplishments, post our thoughts. What's the difference between that free account and should I step up and buy a premium account? Why would I need a premium account? Because there's I call them toll gates for however much you want. Whether you're building a career, I think the other category is whether you're a recruiter. Can you kind of give us the lay of the land as it relates to those platforms?
So let me tell you, I'm not a specialist in on LinkedIn Premium because I
Okay.
mostly my clients are mostly corporate, but I
Okay.
can give you an overview for sure. So it depends on the level of utilization you want from LinkedIn. So if you have a basic account, you open your account, you can access our LinkedIn Learning free courses we have for our members as well. You can connect, you can send connection requests, you can do most of the things. The premium account, I think it's more of, it depends on your financial personal situation, and
Yeah.
it's more of a tool that will allow you to, and the level you are in your career, I would say it's more of a tool that will allow you to send emails. So when you don't know a person, and that person doesn't have the message me function, right? You can always send an email, something that we call an email, which is an email through LinkedIn to that person, and you'll have more insights and access to learning, etc., and more insights into jobs. That's what I would say. But again, if someone from the LinkedIn Premium team is listening to me, I'm not an expert
Yeah. Yeah.
in LinkedIn Premium. I just think it's more of an upgraded version depending on what your goals are and what your financial situation is.
So here's the so-called Ron Thomas version of how effective you are on LinkedIn. I always like to look at who's viewed your profile, you know, and whether it's from some company or whether it's hidden. So every day I tend to check that to see who's taking a peek. And it shows you where the search came from. So I say that to say being strategic about LinkedIn. All those little features, I'm consistently watching those. I monitor those. When I turn my laptop on in the morning, email comes up, LinkedIn goes up. That's just, and I've been doing that for God knows since LinkedIn came about, because it's that important to me. So for people that are listening in, and maybe, just maybe, you're spending a lot of time on Instagram, TikTok, da 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 da. Can we balance this out somewhat? If your career is important, do you think, and this is just my version of it, if your career is important, shouldn't you be spending a little more time on that side of the scale?
Yeah, absolutely. Because like who's viewed your profile probably tells you, also gives you insights into who found you, how, was it
Mm-hmm.
via something you post? Was it, did they research you? Was it a recruiter? So it gives you kind of an idea of if the content you are posting to a specific audience, it's
Mm-hmm.
actually reaching that audience. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely would say yes. If you care about your career and if you care about personal branding, then absolutely spend more time on LinkedIn. Like that's super important. Unless you're an Instagram star or a blogger,
Yeah, right.
definitely spend some more time on LinkedIn because that's crucial to
Yeah,
increase visibility, digital presence, understand relevancy, and you have all these tools at your fingertips. So use
yeah.
them. Totally, totally
The
with you.
other, yeah, the other key feature that I really like is that who's viewed your post. It gives you the companies that viewed it. It gives you the title of the people that viewed it. So I don't have an algorithm or anything like that, but I'm thinking this is pretty important. When I looked at, I post something the other day, and this very prestigious organization, 3 or 4 people viewed it, from this organization, from that side, and the titles of people, founder, creative director, and all these kind of things. So I said, well, maybe could that be kind of a test that maybe I'm putting some good stuff up, or, you know,
Absolutely, absolutely, and it also gives you the opportunity if you are not connected with these people, for example, to say, hey, I know like this is a topic that might interest you. Would you like to discuss further? You don't have to necessarily tell them. I know you saw my posts, but I
I
know
saw
that
you. I
I
saw you
think it
looking.
would be interesting that. I saw you looking. That's kind of, no, don't do that. But you can say, I know that this is a topic of interest to you. Would you like to discuss further? This is something that you can definitely use to build, to like have warm introductions, because you are top of mind for these people.
Okay. So what else is new coming up? I mean, that key point that you mentioned about the video, that's going to probably be huge. This is the first time I'm hearing of that. Are you going to do a big marketing push behind it, or should people just go ahead and click on it and try it?
Yeah, people should just go ahead, click on it and try it for sure. It's next to your profile photo. You have a plus button. You can just post your story for 30 seconds. And I'm looking forward to seeing yours run for sure. Uh, you also have a
now you put me on the spot, because I'm thinking, how can I do that?
I want to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be checking it, so you better do it. So you have the name pronunciation as well next to your name. I actually added mine because everyone says my name incorrectly. So if you wanna, like, it's very difficult to. In all honesty.
Did I say it correctly?
No. Honestly, no.
Okay.
But everyone adds that extra R as you did, and say Susana Correia, right? When actually in Portuguese you say Susana Correia, which is like sounds completely different. I know it's hard, but it's just there. Like if you have the interest to know, how someone, and sometimes I really struggle, right? Sometimes I see a name that I'm like, in any language, that I'm just like, oh my God, how am I going to reach out to this person, So it helps me. The name pronunciation, definitely a tool, definitely helps you. We also have the pronoun, in a world where, diversity and inclusion matter a lot. We are all creating a more inclusive word by adding the pronoun next to our name. So these are tools that address topics that are top of mind for employers these days, such as diversity, belonging, etc. Yeah, and I love it.
Okay, so I speak at a lot of conferences, and the vast majority of the time now I will host a panel. And I get a list of names, and I'm struggling, and I'm trying to figure out the right pronunciation. This is because if I have to call on this person, what do I say? What's the name? Correct it, and all that. So one of the things that I always will do is I'll tell the conference organizer, I want you to introduce everyone. And I will listen to that, make a note of it, and that's how I would use that, because I struggle with that all the time. And being a global person, you go into all these different countries and you see all these names, and it may come natural to people in that country. But for me, coming from the American side, for the most part, I struggle with that. So thank you so much for that feature.
This is a perfect one. Next time you're joining a conference, tell your panelists to make sure you have your name pronunciation feature. So I'm going to check it out.
Yeah, that would be cool to do that. So let's flip it. So we've been talking about from the job seeker, career building side. What can an organization offer to help people guide their careers better? Or what advice would you give to, say, a human resources department, as maybe there's something that they could do from their side to make sure, the employee experience, LinkedIn building kind of workshop, or is there anybody holding anything like that you've heard of?
From a company perspective?
From an organization side. The reason I ask that is because when I was working in New York, we created a course around building your career. And that was it, because the average age was 27. And it was the most sought after course because people had gone through college and they'd never had a discussion about building a career, building a brand, anything like that. And so I thought that was a very good way of helping the employees, realizing that nobody's staying there for 30 years again. Those days are over. Has anything like that been done that you've heard about, or with the LinkedIn is supporting, or has a course on building a career? Or I'm sure you probably have a learning. Go ahead.
Absolutely. We have learning paths on it. I would say the best way to help your employees building a career is to make sure they are upskilling, and you are giving them the skills. So you invest in learning and development. I think that's crucial for any company these days, like to help their employees stay current, relevant. The most important skill is adaptability, right? So you want your workforce to have the right skills. Then I would say assess how you are doing, how your company is doing, and how your employees perceive you. So there are tools and employee voice surveys, that help you understanding how your workforce is feeling. Make sure you use these surveys, and you have what your employees care about, in which areas do they feel they have gaps, and how can you address them. And make sure everyone has an individual development plan in place for lateral moves, for what are the career goals really, what are they interested in, are they in the right path, and I would say like these three elements are crucial to help your employees succeed in their career. Then of course there's the employee side. Everyone should evaluate their career pivots. They should identify their transferable skills. They should aim, and they should have that growth mindset that we spoke about, to learn new skills while you are in your current role. And you should be your own self advocate when it comes to succeed in your career. So it's a mindset. Yeah. So I would say this is crucial. Yeah, it's all about learning really, and skills these days, and understanding where your skills can be relevant to a certain job. If you're happy, there's so much that goes into career advice. Yeah, for sure.
It's a body of knowledge. Mohammed just made a statement here. It would be great if we could exchange documents as well over the internet chat. So if you could send me some links later, Sunday,
totally.
Whatever, you send that to me. And for people that are listening in, we're going to create a little LinkedIn site on our website, strategyfocusgroup.com, that you can go there and access these articles or whatever you send me over. And that way we can keep the conversation going.
Sure, I will definitely do.
Lots of times it's tough to try to make notes and listen and all those kinds of things to do that.
I will definitely do.
Yeah, so
that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah,
so that's cool. So Mohammed, wherever you are, thank you so much for putting that out. So you're the proprietor of that idea, and thank you so much. So in closing, key points. How do we have to make this transition to post-COVID, get back on track? If you had a closing statement to say to people that are trying to make it work, and everybody's trying to make it work. I mean, I get emails every day from people, and I just want to respond to one thing. We're all busy. And sometimes when people reach out to you, and I'm saying this for people that are kind of in the influencer space, you may be a big shot or whatever it is. It takes no less than 30 seconds to respond, and respond positively to someone, even if you can't help them. But do not, under any circumstances, just delete an email. A person is coming to you and asking you for advice, and you can't give 20 seconds, 30 seconds to respond to that. So I always will tend to do that. So that's my kind of closing thing, that I want people, that we get these requests from people, please help. If you can't help, just say that. But you wish them luck, and however way you want to close it out, because there's so many people that are hurting out here now. That's my closing piece. Do you have anything to? Yeah.
Love it, Ron. I wouldn't say better. Definitely take the time to respond to your network, to your community. Do everything in your power to make a difference, because there are so many people struggling, and these are like ever-changing times. So again, I think building community and network is key, and it's the way forward. So it all starts there. So absolutely, the best advice I can give everyone is to engage with their community and leverage their network.
Okay, great. Okay, for the people that are listening in, we're going to create a little website, create a little portion on our website under LinkedIn Solutions. And in a few days, you'll see it populated, and you can go there. Some of the things that we've talked about today will be, will be listed on there. So thank you so much for listening in. And Susana, thank you so much. It's been a while. We've been trying to get this to work out, but it worked out. We had a good conversation. And as soon as everything opened up, I'm coming down to Internet City. We're going to do our little coffee thing like we did last time. Take photos.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh,
cool.
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Ron,
so
for being
that'll
such a
be cool.
LinkedIn advocate. I
Okay.
really appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything and for inviting me. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, I love the platform. The platform has done so much for me career-wise that I cannot speak highly enough of it. So thank you. Just hold on for a second as we begin the process of closing out. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much.